Hey guys, Carlos here from Angler's Lifestyle. This is not a fishing video. This is an update for my self-wicking tubs. I just wanted to give you guys an update to see what I've been doing so far and how my plants are doing. Anyway, these plants are actually really crucial for my diet, as well as since trout season is in full steam ahead, I'm using the ingredients that I'm growing when I cook my fish. So, version 2.0. Anyway, the reason why I'm making this video is to show you guys what I've done so far to save a few materials, okay, when I make my self-wicking tubs. So the first couple of tubs that I made, I noticed that I was using materials unnecessarily, and I believe that there is a way for me to cut down on, say for example, using the screen. Okay, burlap is still good. That's still natural fibers, but the screen itself, you know, I'm not really quite sure what is it made of. Plastic, PVC, I'm not quite sure. But I wanted to reduce the amount of usage of that screen, because you know that screen is kind of expensive too. I had some lying around before because you know I changed. My dad helped me change some of the screens in my doors and windows, so I had some excess lying around. Anyway, so it's starting. I'm starting to use up my supplies, and so I'm trying to conserve as much as I can. So anyway, version 2.0, I decided to cut down on the usage of the screen. So, but I still want to be able to prevent soil from going into those drainage tubes. So what I've done is this reduction of material. So essentially, I'm just covering the opening of these drainage tubes, and similarly by accident I had purchased this drainage tubes that did not have any perforations in them. So I figured, and I said, okay, I can kind of cheat my way and just put a slice under these things. Okay, so it should still, you know, do the same, because the air can go through in one end, out the other, and some of the water can leach out on the top side. You know, as long as I follow the rules, it should continue to work. But first and foremost, let me show you some of my plants. So this is my first wicking tub. As you can see, this basil is doing very well. The feeding tube is down here, okay, and they pretty much grown past the feeding tube. Okay, so if we push this sideways like that, as you can see, there's the wicking tube, and they're grown. And I've harvested quite a few of these leaves, and they remain really green and fresh when I serve them with my dishes. So what I've decided was to start with a second tub. But if you can see down here, okay, there's a screen mesh and then the burlap. Okay, and I also have some of these peat moss out here. Okay, so I had changed that, okay, on my second tub. So what I've done is, okay, this time I flipped it. I put the burlap on top of the screen, but I still use the same amount of screen. That's still a lot of materials. These are the green onions that I'm growing, and I'm harvesting now. You see the cuttings here. I'm harvesting quite a few of them, and I tell you, these green onions stay so green when I mix it with my tomatoes and other of the garnishes that I make for my trout. Now, this dill here, as you can see, dill is growing like literally like weed, and that's pretty much what it is, right? It's weed. All right, and back here, okay, is my broccoli Rabe. Okay, as you can see, it's growing so well, and this tub, okay, does not have any peat moss on there. Okay, it's just straight organic potting mix. Okay. And again, I read up a little bit on dill, and dill is actually really good to grow with plants. You know, the benefits is they actually draw in some of these good bugs, and it actually you know, makes the bad bugs go away, because I guess they don't like dill. So this is the second tub that I created. Okay, so still using the same amount of mesh materials. I just flipped, you know, the order of the burlap and the mesh screen. So what I've done was I've set up another tub, okay? And this tub specifically, okay, I grew snow peas. And this time it's only burlap, okay? And the mesh screen is actually built into the actual drain tubes now, just like as I'm going to do again. So this is technically version 2.0, this tub. Okay, so the top layer of this tub is actually Coco Coir. I'm using it as a moisture barrier, just as the same as the peat moss. But these snow peas I grew directly. I sowed it directly onto this medium, and I was really impressed because they grew right out. Remember the first time when I tried to grow lettuce, okay, out of those potting mix straight out of the bag? Well, it did not grow. Interestingly enough, I used some of those soil that was in here, and guess what? Look at what germinated down here. I'm quite certain that that is lettuce. But again, all of these are snow peas. I'm so excited because these things are literally growing so fast. Now, I said, okay, I figured out how to germinate seed, okay, right from this medium. So I said, I'm gonna go ahead and start and sow directly into soil what I failed the first time on that potting mix bag. So I essentially took lettuce seeds, and guess what? There they are. This tub, essentially, I direct sowed the lettuce seeds right here, a variety of them. Okay, back here is spinach. Okay, and I have some arugula. So this mixture is essentially what you would buy in that container that I pay $5 at Safeway. Okay, each time, and we would eat like 2/3 of it in one sitting. So now that I have this growing, I'm really excited because this should be ready within the next 30 days. I should be able to harvest this and start eating it. All right. So as you can see, I've learned how to actually sow seed directly, okay, by using the Coco Coir, not only as a medium, okay, mixed into the actual tub itself, but I'm using it, okay, as a way to germinate the seeds and keep moisture in the tub. So I've actually learned quite a bit about this self-wicking tubs, and thus far I'm going to continue using the same technique and growing more of the type of vegetables that I would be consuming a lot, and it's for dietary reasons as well, and for cost. I've stopped buying green onions. I don't buy dill. Okay, I don't buy basil. I tell you, between my daughter, myself, and the rest of the family, we would eat basil like there's no tomorrow. These bushes here, these basil bushes, they actually were grown from a plant already. Okay, so we cheated a little bit, right? So we started that out when my dad was still here. That was right before Labor Day. And what is it now? It's almost Thanksgiving. So September, October, November, that's only 2 months worth. And look at that bush. That bush continues to actually thrive really well. So anyway, I just wanted to keep you guys informed and updated that so far the self-wicking tubs are doing very well. So anyway, give it a try. I will show you some of the plantings that I'm going to do shortly as I reassemble the next tub. So stay tuned. So the layout of this tub is pretty much the same as the other tub. Okay, so actually I drilled an overflow hole right here. It's about 4 inches up, and that's plenty of clearance because this thing is not even, it's just laying on top. There's at least 1 inch, okay, of airspace. And as you may recall, this is the tapered end, okay, that goes this way. And then the burlap, interestingly enough, this burlap actually also acts as a wick, like the wick of the candle, kind of pretty much the same thing. And I'm using, right, this burlap the same way as I've used before. And I use these clothespins, okay, to secure the ends like that. So that the soil would not push it down. Okay. There you go. So all I need to do is make sure I fill this up and make sure those crevices actually have soil in them. Okay. Prepare this accordingly. Okay, make sure that I have enough airspace. Okay, and for the soil to be able to go down in between these, right there and right there. Okay, shove that in the corner right there. Okay, and make sure that the soil makes contact on the side. There you go. And we'll just go ahead and fill this up with soil. Go from there. So stay tuned. Okay, so the first layer of medium, wicking medium, is now in place. All right, and make sure that that's set in the corner. Okay, flatten it out, and so before I put potting soil, okay, I will add some of this Organic Plus tomato. I will add some of this Organic Plus tomato. Okay, it's a fertilizer and with microbes in it, so it's got a 4-6-3, and it also has calcium in it. 4% nitrogen, 4% nitrogen, 6% of phosphate, and 3% of potash. So you load that in the bottom, because eventually as the roots mature, okay, they will have to go to the bottom of the tub anyway, so they need these nutrients. So I would put about a cup's worth of that. Okay, just spread it. Okay, and then this is the sea mineral, okay, SEA 90. Okay, it's got a lot of the trace mineral fertilizer in there. Okay, put about half a cup. Okay. All right. I think I put too much in there. All right, and lastly, about the same amount, I'll go ahead and add some of this Epson Salt. Okay, and this will help strengthen and protect the roots from disease, but also again protect the plant in the long run. So I'll add some Epsom salt. All right, so once that's done, okay, all you need to do is sort of mix that. Spread it around a bit. Okay, and so this is ready to for additional potting mix. Okay, all you need to do is just get the basic potting mix and load it up as far up as possible. Okay, that's going to be the that's going to be the growing medium. Okay, there we go. So last night preparation took a little longer than usual. Similarly, I lost the foam of my microphone, so hopefully the audio of this video won't be too messed up. Anyway, let me show you what I've done so far. So I had decided to plant spinach on this side and more lettuce on this side. And the spinach are bigger seeds, and the lettuce variety are really small. So it says that you had to plant the spinach seeds half an inch, and the lettuce seeds about 1/4 inch deep. So I figured lay it out this way, and the easiest thing to do is to essentially just take some stick of some sort and just approximate the depth of about half an inch. Okay, and then just push them in. Okay, anything deeper there, you run the risk of them not germinating. So when I set up this tub yesterday, the last layer essentially is the Coco Coir. I figured out that germinating seeds It's just a matter of keeping the growing medium moist without essentially flooding the seeds themselves. So best way to do this essentially is to just keep that water at bay, keep the medium moist, and this Coco Coir is a really good medium for that. It's like a sponge, and this is really a great way to get your seeds buried. That's why I opted to just, you know, put the spinach seeds on top and then just eventually put it in, versus the seeds for the lettuce is smaller, and so, you know, I had to pre-dig the holes using my I don't know, what is this? It's a round file that I found in my gear. So I just poked it in. Okay, now there's some here that I actually have a few that's on top, so, you know, I'm afraid those things would not germinate. So you notice with lettuce is you don't necessarily have to bury them too deep. So you just need to essentially make sure that they make contact with the soil, with the medium that you're planting them in. So that's just the best way. You don't need to bury them too deep, or else they'll never germinate, and it doesn't take that long for them to germinate at all. Last time, you know, I was really surprised that it took about not even 7 days. Lettuce loves the cool climate, and I would much rather sow them directly into a growing medium like this, rather than putting them on those growing pods and then, you know, then transfer them after they grow. Again, it's, to me, that's just too much work. There's a lot of room for error. Okay, so now that you've put all your seeds in the hole, next thing to do is you can opt to lay another layer of Coco Coir, okay, or essentially just go around and just cover them. Make sure that the medium, you know, comes in contact with the seeds, because if the medium is not in contact with the seeds have a hard time capturing that moisture. And so I just press it in. I think I might add a layer of Coco Coir, but I guess we'll see here. Last night, before I finished setting up this medium, I essentially pounded this with the bottom part of my other tub. I used the tub and I pushed it down like this. It's sort of, I tamped, you know, I stamped it down, but this should be okay. Okay, in a couple of days, okay, I will wet this medium, right, to make sure that it stays moist. And in the meantime, I will also feed this tube with the water so that the wicking process will start. Okay, otherwise this tub would simply just dry out. And of course, you know, I have squirrels here also, and so the best thing to do is to cover it with a screen, okay, so they don't dig into it. I don't know if it's cats or birds or whatever, but they'll dig through that. So get just a basic screen like this, okay, and use your clothespin, all right, and just protect your tub, protect that screen from separating, all right, and that's it. All right, so like I said, to finalize this setup is I'll just add water into this feeding tube right here. Okay, remember this tube goes straight down to the bottom, the reservoir. Okay, and that's essentially going to be the wicking, the start of the wicking process. And this burlap that I have that goes all the way to the bottom, it actually acts as a wicking media also. And when this part is wet, I know that there's enough water that's coming through. There you go. So here's the last thing to do. Essentially just take your water, okay, fill this tube up, and then when the water comes out of here, that means the reservoir is full. All right, here we go. Once that water starts to pour out of it, there we go. See it? Start to come out now. That means the reservoir is full. That's it. All right. I'm sorry that this is not a fishing video, but it's only an update about my wicking tub and see how they're doing. So anyway, I hope you guys learned from that. Anyway, as always, come fish with us sometime, and in this case, come garden with us sometime. See ya.